All right, good morning, everyone. I need your help because I'm in the process of just the clothes, man. It's just too many. I have like maybe two more huge loads to go through today, and basically it's just coats and sweaters. But as y'all see, I have a very small space, so I need to keep it as organized as possible. Like, because if I don't, then what happens is at the moment that I have to go rifling through clothes to find something to wear, everything is going to be everywhere. So I wanted to do this a couple of different ways. One way that I thought about doing it was um, to take a picture. I have a little mirror and I was gonna put the sweaters on the mirror and take a picture of each one. But I was just like, no, that's a little ridiculous. And with the amount of stuff that I have, I probably would have happened if I run out of memory. So I'm gonna go back to the ancient way of doing it, just using your mind. And the way that I had it before was perfect, but I need to be more conscious about it. Conscious, CONSCIOUS. I have a list. Conscious, not conscience, but conscious about it, and be very cognizant about what I'm putting into what bags. And I did that before, but the thing was, I wasn't as familiar with everything that I had, so there came times when I was rushing, because I had gotten used to not waking up early in the morning, where I just kind of just rifled through everything. I don't want that to ever happen again, because I don't like that. So as a matter of fact, on my app game, um, anytime that I spent digging or looking for anything, that's a minus 100 points. For those of you that don't know, which you may not, because I don't think I put it on this channel, but each day I start out with, it's a superior me app game, and I'm doing, just being cognizant of it is one thing. Every day you're awarded a certain number of points, like it rolls over every day. It starts new. It's like 500 points daily, beginning at midnight each night, and you add to this personal bank account through uplifting yourself financially, socially, spiritually, mentally, or physically. And it's pretty detailed, and I was watching something with Tony Robbins. For some reason, I wasn't a big fan of him, because one time, one of the jobs that I had, one of the many jobs that I had, they actually played one of his things, and he sounded like, I don't know, his voice was funny. But I read a book one time, Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul, and the lady was talking about how she had an aunt or something that was like a old maid. She was like my age, 40, 50 years old, and this woman was single, but she seemed happy, and people always try to make it like you have to be miserable. And she was like, "How do you do it?" And so one day, and the woman was real quiet and kept to herself, like me. And she says every day she would do something for herself, do something for somebody else, do a mental activity, a physical activity, do something that you don't want to do but needs to be done, and then write in your journal. And it was so funny, because I need to watch this again. It's in one of my playlists. I think it's like Me Revamped or something. It's one of my playlists. It's by Ted. He did a lecture for TED, and he was mentioning 6 things. I was half listening, because of course I was doing something else. It was just background for me. So the other thing I want to talk about, being conscious and cognizant, is I was also watching, and I've seen this one a couple of times, this YouTube video on like the ancient history of man, the true history of man, and how they were saying like all these things about, life on other places, but just to get down to the part of it that doesn't go so much outside of what we're taught in this society, is it's true that over the ages we've become dumbed down. And one of the things, like when I was growing up, that was told that was the best thing ever, it's a sign of intelligence or whatever, was writing. But actually, writing is what dumbed us down a little bit, because we were very cerebral people, very photographic memories and vivid imaginations, and they used to tell stories on the radio, and you didn't have the pictures. So it caused you to have to use your brain more to bring about the pictures and things that you needed to see. So, and in this society now, the younger generation that's coming up, even writing is being taken away or paying attention and focusing. And I came across something really odd yesterday, and I shared with one of my viewing friends from another channel source. And what it was that I wanted to, my me time is really important to me. I like, having introspective time, and I like it to be undisrupted, and I like to plan things. And sometimes, like for me, I like the option of being able to block all calls on your phone. And the reason why is because sometimes it could be useful for so many different things. Like I said, if you're just having me time with yourself, or you're in meditation or prayer, you don't want those calls coming in. You want to be able to focus on that. In addition to that, if you're a busier person and you're out and maybe you're on a date or with family and friends, you may not want those calls to come in, because again, you want to focus on the people that are in front of you. And like I said, in this society, that's being taken away more and more. So I thought this couldn't be right. I have a very cheap service that a lot of people use because it is cheap. And they introduced maybe a year ago or so a new phone that was fairly cheap. Again, it's fairly cheap, but and very big. Kind of reminded me of the Samsung. What did I have before? Mega. I had a Samsung Mega, and it reminded me of that, but it was like 1/6 of the price. Okay, and the thing was that I thought it was odd. At first they told me it didn't have a battery, and I'm like, because I always like to have a backup battery but it doesn't have a battery. Now, the purpose of that is that you can't take the battery out because it's always tracking your location. It's always accessible to whoever's tracking. The other thing that I didn't know that a lot of people wouldn't know, because most people would not, I'm guessing that most people would not want to go and block all incoming calls. So I went to go to try to block all incoming calls, and it definitely does have an option for that. You go to settings, you go to call settings, call barring settings, and then you can select the option for all incoming calls. But when you select that, it says network pass ID required, and I'm like, I didn't set up any password ID for this phone. So maybe they have a default that they have at the carrier company. So I called the carrier, and the girl didn't know, so she had an attitude. Then I called back. The other girl tried to help me, but basically she didn't know, so she gave me the number for the manufacturer, and she was like, well, you maybe have to go back to the store that you purchased from. And I was like, well, I hate to go all the way there, because I went to the store that I purchased from, and she didn't know either, and she was rude about it. And when people don't know things and you're asking pointedly, they do get rude. Instead of just saying, hey, I don't know, but here's somebody else that can help you. They just get rude. So she was telling me maybe I should go to the corporate store, but I'm like, I don't want to make that trip all the way out there and stand in line forever, and basically they can't tell me anything. When I called the manufacturer, they said the only thing they do is manufacture the phone. The carrier has the only authorization to, if it's a network ID, that's the ID password that the carrier uses, and they are the only ones that have the authorization to block incoming calls, outgoing calls, whatever kind of calls, and they could do this without your knowledge. I'm like, so you're telling me that if I pay for service, the provider that I pay for the service to has the option to block all my calls, but not me. And then they were telling me that the way that you could block calls, you can block them individually. But in order for you to block them individually, they would have to actually be in your phone book. I am a loner. I don't have anybody in my phone book. I don't place people in my phone book. I don't. Everything is temporary. I don't like it. I don't have those type of relationships. My relationship is, like I said, here and now. If you're in front of me and we're engaging, then we're engaging, and to the point where either of us decides to disengage, and we're both free to go our own ways, So I just thought that was really weird. But there's a lot of other things that I didn't like too, and I did a post earlier today about this on one of my low-end social networking sites, where you know, it's really disconcerting because I used to love taking selfies and things like that, but with this particular phone and a lot of the apps that you use with the camera apps, and probably all the newer phones now, but I know this particular one, every time you take a picture, it has that box around your face, and whenever you move, it's like the box follows you. And I did a screenshot of it, and it's like trapped humanity. You know, how can you feel? And when I took a picture, it looked like I was the picture looked like I was sad or whatever, but it wasn't. I'm just like, it made me uncomfortable. So that's the look that was on my face. You know, in reality, that's what it was. Um, and I felt like I had to explain that because you feel trapped humanity. You know, you got this box, and every time you move, you know, and it's disconcerting. I don't know. I wonder, do any of you guys feel it disconcerting to see the, you know, that capture thing on all the time? And it doesn't make it invisible. It makes it so that, hey, you can see that it's trying to capture your face, you know. But anyways, you can share your thoughts on that. I'm going to get started on cleaning, hopefully. Well, not really cleaning, but trying to organize all this stuff.